And boom, bada boom, butter, boom. Good to see you all. Welcome. This is Tokyo Tonight. It is 10:33 Japan Standard Time. My name is Hiko Simon. It's good to see you all. Thanks. Already got so many people, 8 concurrent viewers in here. Also good to see a couple of likes. Do remember to like if you do like. Good to see people rocking in. We've got a bunch of people here already in the chat. We've got Shubas. Good to see you already there early in the morning. Hope you're having a good day there. We've got an Ohio from Tai Nakamura, man from Flint. Good to see you. We've got Black Tengu checking in, present and correct from Greece. Cobra Stenshi, good to see you as always, early in the morning where you are. It's butter time indeed. Good to have you in here, Dan H, as always. As also good to see you, Quint Ranked. Putting a butter stick in coffee is actually a thing, indeed. Yeah, someone put me onto that a while ago, actually, about what do they call it? The sort of butter. I've had it a couple of times, like super strong, like butter blended coffee, or like where you're supposed to have like grass-fed butter or something fancy. But yeah, apparently it is a thing indeed. No technical difficulties. We are starting and underway. As usual, the comments here are slow. In fact, I wonder if I refresh it here. Yeah, it's a pain that it doesn't, that I have to keep updating the window where I can highlight the comments over there. But yes, we've got a boom from Quint Ranked, a good morning from Aaron. Good to see you, Aaron. And yes, maybe I can get the Australian cricket team to crank start. Last I checked, the Australian team seemed to be starting well. I don't know what they're up to right now, actually. But they were like doing 10 runs. They were like 40 runs after like 4 overs, 40 for 1 last that I checked. But yeah, Australia looks like they're doing well. Of course, right now the World Cup cricket final being played, Australia versus India in India. There were like 3 Australians literally in the stadium. I saw a picture of them. But yeah, Australia did really well in the first innings. There's only 1 innings each in cricket. And yeah, looks like Australia has a decent chance. So we'll have to see what happens. Tudum, good to see you. Actually, now whenever I see Tudum, I think of the Netflix thing. Tudum. Anyway, I don't know. Maybe representative of Netflix. We've got Butterboom, Tudum. We've got everybody. Good to see you all in here. More people rocking in. I can see also directly in the chat. We've got, in fact, it's kind of funny. The chat window. What's happening there? Normally more fits in there. It looks like I might have to recalibrate the screen a little bit. 270 AJ not showing at the bottom there, but we have Is This My Life? Hello from Sweden. We've got Yoni, our man from Finland. It's good to see you, and 270 AJ. Great to have so many people rocking in. 7 likes, 12 people watching. It's been a crazy week. I was going through the topics just now, and there is a lot. And you know, even when I say there isn't a lot, I never get them in. Last week when I tried doing the topics in sequential order, like from Monday, I never actually made it through to Friday, and I missed a whole bunch of topics, including topics I'd actually picked out for the title that I was meaning to talk about. So I'm going to go back to going backwards, although I might get a little bit out of order as a result of that. But still, hope you've all had a good week. Lovely weather still. We've had a couple of cold days this week, but it's actually, even today, it still is like, it's not cold at all. It's not wintry. So yeah, it's still a great time to be coming to Japan if you're coming to Japan. Yeah, great to see so many people here. So hope you're having a good end of year wherever you are. And let's just jump in. Some rugby stuff there, which I won't bother you all with. The cricket's been interesting. I've been following the text updates. Maybe, Mr. Cordy Chip, you can throw in a couple of updates as we go along if there's anything interesting there. But yeah, I must admit, just India, I've never really felt like supporting Australia. Australia's always been so strong at cricket. It's like they could have put in multiple cricket teams and they'd all have won in the past, at least back when I was in New Zealand and I was supporting it. But now India's become so strong. It's a World Cup and it's in India. So like, it's really, Australia's actually kind of the underdog. So from that perspective, I'm unusually kind of backing Australia in this one. It would have been New Zealand. New Zealand played India in the semi-final and we got hammered, so that wasn't going to happen. So yeah, good on you, Australia. I hope you do well anyway. We'd love to hear how that's going. You got Kerberos Tenshi snowed in Aichi yesterday. Yeah, there is a cold weather system coming up the country there. I've heard about that. It hasn't hit us here in Tokyo at all. But the thing about Tokyo, one of the reasons that they moved the capital here to Tokyo, I've mentioned this before. Tokyo is sheltered on all sides. Like we've got the mountains, like on the south where Mount Fuji is. We have mountains in the middle of Honshu. We've got mountains to the north. We've got the Gunma Mountains to the north. We've got Nagano across the west. And we've got Mount Fuji and Hakuba and everything to the south, which means that basically any snow or bad weather coming towards Tokyo just totally burns out over those mountains. The only direction that Tokyo can get snow from is the ocean out from the southeast. So basically, yeah, Tokyo just has sunny, even when it's cold, it's kind of sunny and dry all winter, even when the whole rest of Japan is under snow. That said, it's not even cold at the moment. So yeah, I know this cold weather system's coming up the country. I've heard about that in Aichi, that it's indeed cold down there already. Tokyo is always a little bit protected, but I'm sure it's going to get cold soon. And Black Tengu, Athens climate tracks Tokyo's climate. Is that right? I had no idea. I've heard that it can get really cold there in Athens. I've heard you get snow sometimes, even though everybody thinks of, I guess everybody thinks of Athens as the sort of classical Greece thing where they imagine people walking around and I guess they wouldn't be called togas or whatever, but I imagine what did they used to do when it got cold there? Because I do know it also snows there indeed. So, okay, sounds similar. That's kind of cool. Believe in yourself. Good to have you there in the comments, and everybody else. Thank you for saying hello. Do say hello even if you're like a lurker and you don't normally say hello. It's always nice to see people in the chat. And Cobra Sense, you're going to get your winter tires fitted tomorrow. Berlin is about the same latitude as Sapporo. They already have 33 centimeters of snow. Whoa! I didn't actually realize that. Although Europe is super high up, isn't it? It's kind of crazy up there. So yeah, anyway, going through the topics. I don't know a lot about baseball, but again, just Ohtani, even though he got injured through the end of the Major League season, he still got unanimously voted American League MVP. So there you go. He still is continuing to do well. A really good video here. So actually, I was so one big announcement, I suppose, if you follow all the social media stuff, and if you can't stand Twitter and you don't want to like advocate, I mean, honestly, social media, like at the best of times, is a shit show, and I try not to attach. If you know, it's like if you try to judge companies too much by the people who own them or run them or associated with them, that can be reasonable to a point. But you know, I mean, you know, Henry Ford was like Hitler's favorite person. You know, the Volkswagen was like invented by Hitler. You've got you know, so many sort of companies and whatever that have these sort of dark histories, and I figure, you know, appreciate the workers and the companies and the, you know, for what they do, and don't associate too much with stuff. But at the same time, like, again, I wish that Musk would just shut the hell up. I was so impressed. We'll get to it by the Starlink launch today, but at the same time, the fact that he was like endorsing the great replacement theory that led what's his face Roof to like shoot 50 people in a church. You know, the fact that he's endorsing white supremacist, you know, conspiracy theories openly on Twitter. You know, advertisers are absolutely right to pull their money. I like Twitter because I like the community there. I like the audience there. I like the platform. And I just wish there wasn't such a scumbag running it, but I'm not the sort of person who's going to run off the site out of outrage. And I'm still going to be there as long as the audience is there. But I must admit, it did hit a certain point this week where I went and created a Blue Sky account. So if any of you are on Blue Sky, I know a lot of people who couldn't handle Elon were on Blue Sky from before. Threads, I'm kind of giving up on. It's just a graveyard there, and Blue Sky may end up the same. For me, Mastodon didn't take either. But yeah, Blue Sky seems reasonably active. I don't know how to sort out with if people want invites, I can probably sort those out. I don't know how to hand them out yet. I don't know when I get them or something like that. But I joined it. It seems pretty good. So I'm trying that out. And it was through an interaction on Blue Sky this week. Same handle name, of course. That I ran into James Oaten. James Oaten is, I think, the ABC, the Australian Broadcast Corporation correspondent. He's like a news reporter for Japan and North Asia. And I was kind of pinging back and forth with him. I actually remember, I think I had my first interaction with him a few months ago where I was kind of hammering on the BBC for their Fukushima coverage, and he was getting pissed off at me for my calling out of BBC, what I considered to be calling out. He thought I was being pedantic and attacking journalists. But I like journalists. I like following journalists on social media because they actually, you know, you get to, I'm here to follow the sort of international cover. I'm looking for good things to share and follow, and I trust people who are actually based in Japan to do interesting coverage of Japan more than I trust, you know, Shibuya Eggman, CNN, you know, hot take news from other countries. So yeah, it's kind of interesting to see what journalists do. And again, this guy, I was figuring out how to embed links, and he said, try this. And he showed me a piece which he had actually recently put on ABC, and it's really good. Actually, I watched the thing through, and it's like, wow, good job, like really good job. He covers 2 villages in Japan. One village, I forget the first name, but it's sort of the people living there, but there's only like 10 people left. And apparently some old lady there who was feeling a bit sad that there were people gone, started making scarecrow costumes to put like in the school where there were the last two children. She put two school children in the same clothes that the school children wore from like 5th grade in the classroom, and filled up the whole town with like hundreds of like scarecrow people, sort of as looking like these sort of puppet type faces, like you can see there through this whole town, which kind of made it a bit of a tourist attraction, but still a ghost town that's basically dying out, full of super old people. So actually, that was kind of sad, honestly. And then he contrasts it with another town that has the same problem that I've been talking about on here for years, that they've got all these abandoned houses, and again, same problem. The town's getting old, and people are sort of moving away, and they don't know how to attract young people to reinvigorate the town. And so the council said, well, look, why don't we just try taking 10 reasonably good condition houses that are like abandoned, that no one, wants anymore, and let's like do them up and give them away for free to anyone who needs a big, to a young family who needs a big house. And they did kind of a, hey, apply competition, apply and we'll give you a free house if you get chosen. And they chose people, young families, basically sort of a lottery, to come and occupy these, and these were large houses, like big 2-story, like multi-room, and they were recently renovated and done up. And these towns just wanted to have like young people come and live in their towns and be based there. And there are people who like really want to have a house to raise kids in, that they can't afford it. And can work in a situation like that, like remotely or whatever, and the houses got snapped up. And I've been saying for years, like, seriously, having these abandoned houses being run down is basically killing these towns, and they're killing the economy of the towns, they're destroying the communities, and they're not able to sell their houses. So why not just give them away for free? Like, if you need people there and you have houses, like this is a problem which seems to solve itself. There are a lot of channels on YouTube that go into detail as to why it should be easy to sell these houses that no one wants. I mean, literally practically give them away or sell them for free. The fundamental problem is that those older houses are so cheap that the real estate agents who work by commission have no incentive to sell them. And so, and there've been kind of perverse incentives as well for the owners to sort of like hold on to them rather than sell them, even if they're leaving them abandoned, particularly in cases of inheritance and so on. So there's been a whole bunch of barriers to this, but this town just said, screw it, we're just going to give houses away, and it's working. And to me, this is sort of like, I can see that there are broader problems that have to manage with that. If you're giving away houses, then people wanting to sell houses might decrease values and stuff like that. But at the same time, Japan has an abandoned housing glut and a depopulation problem in rural towns. This problem, I've been screaming that towns should be trying this, and this is the first time I've ever heard of it. And it seems to be a really good story, at least so far. So yeah, really great video by James Oden of ABC, and yeah, go watch it. It's really well shot. It's like a sort of what do you call it? A travel documentary style. A lot of effort was put into the editing, so I was pretty impressed with it. It was really good. Yeah, checking out the comments. Opinion is free speech. Sure, and and that's like you again, if he wants to declare that he's a Nazi, he's welcome to be a Nazi, and I'm still sort of on the side. But at the same time, I was coming to a different point. That wasn't what caused me to sign up, although I know a lot of people that signed up to other sites. And, again, just like in thinking the guy's an asshole is also, free speech as well. But there is this thing as well. Free speech has reasonable limits. And between like this whole TikTok trend this week of people like endorsing Osama bin Laden's manifesto, like the algorithm there seems to be like generating a lot of sort of stuff lately that's sort of capturing attention in America. Yeah, there's talk of that being regulated, and I don't know. I mean, on the one hand, I myself, I don't believe in regulating, like censoring free speech, but at the same time, when you have literally like white supremacy being advocated by the owner of this site, and bloody Al Qaeda being Al Qaeda's manifesto being promoted on this other side, yeah, you've got like and the whole great replacement thing. I mean, that all ties to Unabomber like stuff. I mean, again, when you have the actual ideology of the sites pushing this sort of ideology, again, you sort of this is why you can't have nice things, right? I mean, free speech should be free, but don't be an asshole with it. Like, anyway, so I must admit, I'm finding my own views being influenced by what I've been seeing around that lately. just personally anyway. That's it. I mean, I'm still on the sites, but I'm just like, wow, it's kind of interesting seeing the way the world is going with all of that. Dan H retracted a message, but I hope you've still got another message somewhere else there. Oh, Volkswagen Beetle design was taken and stolen from Czechoslovakian brand called Tatra. I did not know that. I thought wasn't that a Porsche design? I always understood that was like, what's his face, Porsche, like presented that to the, oh, and there's the story again, and I'm definitely not a fan of Hitler in any way, but there's the propaganda story, I believe, that Hitler like sketched out, trying to makes a car like this. With lots of pain and tears and sad people, but you know, with the curves. I had no idea that was actually taken from a chair. Oh, thank you. I didn't know that. Appreciate that. Yeah, Backtinker, that was in Shikoku. You think with the life-size dolls, that could possibly be opinions are never in short supply indeed. DJay, sunny side up, good to see you. Peace and love from Kochi. You're from Kochi. Maybe you know about this place with all the life-size dolls that look like that. I should open it up. I remember that the oh, what's it called? Yeah, no, I'm gonna say it wrong if I try to say the town names, but there you go. Ferdinand Porsche, thank you, Cobra Stingy. Always good to have a German in the conversation. But yeah, and of course in Germany, hate speech is not protected. In other countries, it's kind of it's iffy how it goes. But yeah, no, I think Musk seriously went into that, and I love Twitter, I love Tesla, I love SpaceX. Just shut the hell up, dude. Just shut the hell up. Seriously, like don't be an asshole. But anyway, interesting. I asked tonight, what do people want me to talk about on the on Tokyo tonight? And somebody said, I get this quite often. JJRS asked, hey, could I talk about the long-term predictions for the US dollar yen rate? And I gave all of my I mean, there's my disclaimer right there. I don't know anything about this stuff, and anyone even who is an expert and says that they can predict what the yen is going to be like 12 months from now, don't trust them, because if people could predict this stuff, then you know everyone would be rich. Markets always sort of end up, it's like a casino, right? You know, you're doing well if you're ahead a little bit, but if anyone's like completely predicting this all the time, then because people do speculate on this. And also, I'd hate to say to anyone that I think if you hold on, diamond hands, if you hodl onto the yen for like, 10 more months, you're going to be a billionaire. So don't change your money now. All I can talk about is what I see and what I have now with all of the disclaimers. I've got a crypto scammer responding. Screw you, guy. Wow, that's literally attracting that. Actually, I saw some reasonably informed responses. Follow this guy. So this guy's got like, in fact, I had a tweet later on which actually had a graph and everything. It looked really credible. Here we go. So he's got a distribution, in my own view, from someone who's interested in this, which I'll share. But again, with all the disclaimers. Yeah, apparently, the idea overseas interest rates, which are better right now and attracting even yen to go overseas, which is why the yen is weak and so on. Well, that's probably going to change at the moment, so it should correct in time. I gave my own opinion, which is that, yeah, I think right now, objectively, the yen is too cheap. Like, when you look at what 100 yen buys, it should objectively be between 110 and 120 yen. You look at a hamburger, you do the Big Mac test, or other stuff, and so that difference where everything in Japan is right now like 40% cheaper than it should be, which is wonderful, and it's a reason you should consider coming to Japan. On that basis, either that has to be corrected at some point, and it's either going to be corrected by inflation making things in Japan more expensive, which will be miserable because people are not getting paid more, or the yen will correct and increase in value, and the yen will come down against the US, i.e. the US dollar will buy less yen, or the yen will buy more US dollars. So either way, either the yen's going to go back to 120 or stuff in Japan's going to get more expensive. And that said, there's nothing really happening to push it there's nothing really I can see that's changing the conditions that would change the yen at the moment, which tells me that there's probably going to be inflation and probably stuff here is going to get more expensive, and that is what I see. So all of that tells me that what I can tell you right now is the yen is a really good deal right now. It may get to be a better deal. So I changed a whole bunch of US dollars when it was 130, and I did well because I got a lot of that money when the yen was worth less than 100, or the dollar was worth less than 100 yen. But of course, I'm regretting it now. But at the same time, you can only judge whether it's a good deal at the moment. Decide your criteria and decide if it's good now. And I can tell you right now, it's good value. A year from now, I have no idea. But right now, it doesn't. On the one hand, like this is not attached to reality or how values should be at the moment. But at the same time, I don't understand if or how these things will change. So that's kind of my view on that. Since someone was asking, although I'm sure that's an extremely amateur, just lived here and is watching kind of a view. But yeah, thanks for that, Kerberos Tenshi. PB, howdy, sir. Howdy, sir. Hiko, howdy, sir. PB. It took a moment to get that one out. Yeah, Dan H has one for me. Thoughts on Japan planning to scrap quarterly report requirement for businesses and at same time trying to get more foreign investment. Feels like another 80s moment is coming. I hadn't heard of that. You're always good at being informed on stuff like this that I'm not up to date on. When you say 80s moment, you mean like a bubble sort of a thing, like this will attract? I'm not sure if that's the case. Again, I used to work as a corporate lawyer, so my job was like preparing those disclosures and financials, or at least the disclosure statements associated with financials for some companies. I've done it a few times. It's kind of a routine kind of a thing. I hadn't heard of that at all, actually. I haven't seen that in the NHK news. It seems to me a bad idea. I mean, these are for publicly listed companies. If they're private companies, they don't have to report anyway. So if it's publicly listed, I mean, there is a thing. I do think overall there is a thing that a lot of companies are so fixated on hitting, like making their quarterly financials. And this is not really a Japan problem, because in Japan, companies often own their own, shares. You don't have this thing like America where shareholders really control companies. In Japan, companies really, shareholders are just along for a ride, and the companies really sort of look after themselves. But I do have a thing where I think companies sometimes make short-sighted decisions because they're so focused on quarterly numbers in America, more than Japan, actually. I mean, in Japan, companies make short-sighted decisions just, anytime. They just seem to, you've had a lot of companies like Toshiba making a whole bunch of terrible business decisions and getting into trouble. But I don't think that's motivated so much by quarterly reporting. And I don't know that reducing their burden of quarterly reporting would make any difference to those sorts of compliance and governance problems that they've been having. But I do see it as a problem more in the US, where sometimes you think companies should be, okay with, holding on a little bit longer. And the idea that I think a lot of companies who have been doing restructuring lately and firing employees have been doing it to sort of rescue their quarterly numbers, and selling assets off and stuff like that. And there's less incentive to play long on that. So that's my general opinion. I think I think there's a way over focus on getting quarterly results. I also know this as a lawyer who used to support salespeople with quarterly targets, which were attached to the performance of the particular Accenture that I used to be in. And it used to make salespeople act crazy at the end of every month trying to get their numbers in. And I don't think that's a healthy way to motivate an economy. It creates perverse incentives to fix numbers at those sorts of periods. So generally, while I have problems with the way that financial reporting works, I don't know it's necessarily good either to reduce transparency in reporting, if that would be the outcome. So I'm not sure I fully understand what that's about. But yeah, that's an interesting one. I have to keep manually refreshing this chat window, which I'm using to select comments on the side here, which is annoying because I do like being able to highlight the comment that I'm talking about. Nikkei Asia reported on Friday the proposed amendment to the Financial Instruments and Exchange Act from April. Quarterly reports for the first 3 fiscal quarters of the year will be eliminated, with their comments summarized in financial statements. That is interesting. Yeah, I missed that one. I don't know what's driving that, but yeah, that's an interesting one. Other than what I just said, that's about all the insight I have on it. PB. Did I watch the Starship launch yesterday? Hell yes, I watched the Starship launch yesterday. And I must admit, and here's where I come back again. I mean, the biggest rocket to fly, launched by a Nazi since the Saturn V. Don't like Elon, but damn, I love the people at SpaceX. I love the people who made that rocket. The first launch was an absolute shit show and should not have happened, and honestly was taking the piss. And I think that they're very lucky that they got another launch permit to launch so soon after the first test, given what a complete mess. I mean, the flight termination system failed. There were chunks of concrete being flung, all over a nature preserve and everything. The first one, so I know the fact that they got everything to happen so I mean, the bar was set so low from the first test, so I guess, they shot past it. But to see that rocket flying with all of it, with all those like 32 Raptor engines, oh, come back, come back. Uh, do, 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 do. Um, so with those 32 engines all lit up and like not causing each other to explode and catch fire like last time, um, it was incredible. And the stage separation, the fact that the stage separation worked. I mean, the fact that the booster, exploded. Sure, that's a problem, but I think compared to last time, the separation was good. I mean, hell, it made it to 150k altitude in 24,000 kilometers per hour, which I think is about 3,000 kilometers per hour short of what it needed to get um, into orbit. But even then, and then the flight termination systems appeared to work, except that on the actual Starship, like the top part of it, that almost made it into the sort of quasi orbit that it was going for. It seems like the top, like the wing part with the little wings on the top of the rocket. In fact, I've put it away, but I've got a model of the Starship behind me somewhere. It broke off. The front fell off the rocket, and it kept going for a long way, even after the main body of the Starship itself exploded. There's a funny skit by a New Zealander that every Australian thinks is Australian, a guy called Bryce Clark, John Clark, Bryce Clark. Fred Dagg. Anyway, he's a Kiwi, but he's been in Australia forever, and he's done a skit of talking about an oil tanker that had the front fell off and caused a huge oil spill, where he's kind of pretending to be an Australian senator on a news interview, playing down the overall impact of the thing, saying that the defect of the front falling off the oil tanker was limited to this one ship because that doesn't normally happen. There's a great skit about it, which is kind of exactly a lot of people are sharing about the Starship thing. I would say it was like, wow, that was really impressive. Just seeing a rocket that big, it's literally like watching a skyscraper flying, bigger than a Saturn V. Crazy, absolutely crazy. I was very impressed. I enjoyed it very much. So yeah, I hope you all enjoyed it as well, if you saw it, but definitely was into that. I'm going to have to keep hitting manual refresh over here so I can see the comments. Did I watch Elon on Lex's podcast? I did. DJay Sunnyside Up. You know what? I watched for 1 hour and I decided there's a lot of Lex Fridman podcasts that I've watched. Like he talks for 3.5, 4 hours to a lot of people. There are podcasts where there have been people that I thought I didn't like and I watched them on there and I found you talk to someone for 4 hours, you get to know them pretty well. And people that you think you dislike become very likable and relatable, or at least you start to respect them more and you understand them better. That's the good thing about the Lex Fridman show. I've watched multiple Elon interviews on Lex Fridman, and I haven't been that impressed. But this last one, I couldn't go past an hour. I like him less and less over time. I mean, he's kind of really given him a long lead on a lot of things. But I feel like this last week he's kind of crossed the line. But even before that, the Lex Fridman one, I just find he's so self-aggrandizing. It's so obnoxious. And, I think his employees do great stuff. People who work for him do great stuff. I think that was a great thing, that rocket flying. But I actually, that was one of the Lex Fridman podcasts where I'm like, and I actually got to a point where, but the way that Lex was fawning over him as well was, I'm watching Dwarkesh Patel for AI stuff rather than Lex, and I'm liking Lex less, and I'm really over Elon personally. I mean, like I said, I still appreciate what he does. I like Twitter, I like SpaceX, I like Tesla, and I just wish Elon would shut up. But he's free to talk. But geez, I'm free to also think he's an asshole and not watch him. By the way, Kenneth Tan, much love from the Philippines. Good to have you from the Philippines, Kenneth Tan, and thank you for saying hello. We've got lots of hellos there. There's DJay Sunnyside Up asking the thing that I was just talking about before. SpaceX, same route as the Soviets. Well, except the N1 didn't fly. But yeah. Do I think the rocket that would have worked had the rocket been more pointy? I don't know what the ideal shape of a rocket is. I think, there's, of course, the popular theory on what the shape of rockets are inspired by. Who knows? It could be that Jeff Bezos rocket could be the one that ends up flying better than all of them. I have no idea. Dan H, I had no idea about this history. Tetris tried suing in Germany in the 30s against the Hitler car. Well, yeah, that didn't work well. I mean, we all know how that ended. Oh, I see. In 1965, there was a new lawsuit. Well, that would have been a little bit better. Oh, and VW are forced to pay 1,000,000 Deutschmarks. Well, they probably, yeah. I mean, from the lawsuit, between the lawsuit being from Czechoslovakia and in the historical context, I'm sure they probably had to pay. Believe in yourself. Yeah, I had a different view. I mean, I like the old Alex Friedman interviews better myself. But again, this is what's good about all being here, is that we can have different opinions. So yeah, anyway, it's like 11:03, and I have not really talked about any of the topics this week. So let's keep going through. Jason Harris, my Argoriddim, he's apparently at the sumo wearing his Zenzen Wakara night shirt and getting lots of positive attention from other fans and even sumo wrestlers. Good to see him enjoying the old sumo. He's become a massive sumo like YouTuber sort of fan podcaster. There's Shivas. Seems like my whole life is getting more pointy these days. I'm gonna be like, what is this chat? Oh, it's so frustrating that I'm gonna make a change on the fly. So technical features. Let's move that, and move that. I used to have one of those t-shirts, just believe in yourself. Let's okay, it's gone a bit weird at the top of the screen, but yes, I want to get all the comments, and I do like seeing your comments there. So what else have we got? It's been, for people who are interested in League One, people are asking what team they should support. There's a great blog. I was getting very frustrated trying to figure out where all the foreign players playing, and then this very nice blogger went and wrote a blog which sort of summarized all the teams where they are. So this is starting, I think, in December. But let me see if I can zoom in on this guy. Can I zoom in? Zoom in. Won't let me zoom in. But anyway, there's a lot of All Blacks. So All Blacks for Toyota, double All Blacks for, what is that team? How do I do this? Can I tilt it sideways? Okay, it's not working for me. I can't zoom in well enough. But I've come to the conclusion I should probably support Toshiba, who are, the third team down on the right, because they've got two All Blacks and they're based pretty close to where I live, so I can go support them easiest. But a lot of basically World Cup All-Stars coming to play in Japan, so I'm looking forward to that. Oh, there's Otani. I talked about that earlier. There is the James Oten thing. There is the currency discussion. The next thing is kind of interesting. The whole I've been watching the last 2 days, just the whole Sam Altman, OpenAI firing Sam Altman because he was not entirely candid with the board, being given as the only reason. And then like a day later, now OpenAI is begging him to come back. What the hell is going on there? Like, and seeing all the crazy theories going around. I had one thing. I know that Sam Altman's been like promoting this humane screenless mobile computer thing where you wear this pin and it puts like a projector on a hand, and it looks very futuristic and Star Trek-y. I think this is a terrible idea. I think I've shared that before. I think you need a screen of some sort. I like the idea of contact lenses or glasses or something like that. If Sam Altman is going, if OpenAI is firing Sam Altman and he's going to focus on making that stupid thing instead, then I want the robots to be in charge. I hope that AI is going to take over, because humans just can't do it right anymore. But I've been all the sort of following of this. The way that OpenAI did the firing, so they did it like suddenly, and they did it within the trading window, like before the markets closed on Friday. So like in a couple of hours, Microsoft lost $48 billion in capex because they're all in on open AI products, and a whole bunch of investors who are going to spend, basically kind of do an acquisition of OpenAI for like $90 billion over the weekend. They're all calling up saying, hey, we're backing out, which is why the board is now turning around and saying, oh, Sam, sorry about that, you can come back now. I don't know what the hell is happening. I'm sure they're probably going crazy trying to lessen the damage before Monday, because then, like, basically they've wiped out, like, just this one action has already wiped out 150 directly, like 150 billion dollars of value from the share market. Just like in a couple of hours on Friday, it's gonna like cause like all sorts of stuff on Monday. And the reasons aren't even clear. Like, what is it? Have they got AGI? Have they created a super intelligence? Are they, does the board think that he's going too much for profit, or they're moving too fast? I have no idea. But hell, there's going to be a movie about this. So yeah, I like to follow two, Matt Wolf, and there's one other, and I'm forgetting the name of it, a podcast which I follow for AI news and sort of tech news lately, and it's a big part of what I do for my job. So I do follow this sort of stuff closely, and even my work chat over the weekend's been, hey guys, you got popcorn? So I've been following this myself, even though not Japan related. It is just kind of crazy. So yeah. Mr. Cordy Chip, is this rugby league or just it's a league for rugby that they're calling Japan Rugby League 1? And again, how they I didn't realize that in most of the country world that if you say rugby league, it means something different to a league of rugby. But there you go. What else have we got here? We've got Sam Altman just firing some very clever articles as well, with people talking about Control L, Microsoft and AI, Control Altman delete. And now they're trying to hit Control Z and put him back before the trading window starts on Monday. Yeah, Uber, let's talk about Uber being allowed in Japan, which I guess would be good for people wanting to get side hustles going and so on. And there is a shortage of taxis with all the tourists. So, Uber's saying, hey, yeah, if you want to let us come back, we'll do that. There is a thing, though, taxis in Japan are a very protected industry, as they've traditionally been in other countries as well. So there is a thing about how are they going to introduce it, if they do introduce it, in a way that doesn't screw over people who go through a lot of time and investment to get taxi licenses. And the safety requirements, the training requirements, if you toss all that out the window, and I think you got to compensate the taxi drivers for that as well, because that's all controlled by regulation. But there you go. This is an interesting one. I actually find 1 in 4 newlyweds in Japan met on matchmaking apps, equaling workplace encounters. I mean, I find both halves of that statement interesting. I don't know what apps. I mean, geez, I couldn't. I'm a pre-app era person. I mean, why can't people just get blackout drunk in bars and wake up next to strangers and go from there, like the old-fashioned way that mum and dad met? I don't think they actually met that way, by the way, but the idea that people are using it, I don't know how you do it. The only apps I use are for political discussion, so clearly that's not going to happen for me that way. So I don't know. I understand that there are matching apps, and it's working for a quarter of people who get married. But the fact that workplace marriage encounters, that's another loaded phrase. A quarter of people getting married in Japan are still getting married from hooking up with co-workers. Now, I've never thought that was a good idea. It's kind of funny working in American companies in Japan, because you have American companies which have these it's completely unethical to date people in the office. And you have these Japanese things where it's like, well, if you take your job seriously, where else are you going to meet people? So you have this sort of both way thing when you have this in American companies. What I appreciate about Japanese people in the workplace is they're reasonably, in my experience, discreet. There are so many times when I've discovered that, Taro and Hanako in accounting are getting married. Everyone's like, oh my God, I had no idea. And someone else says, oh, I could tell. But, this happens a lot. You have these surprise, it turns out your coworkers are getting married all the time. But yeah, I don't know. I suppose you don't get the American, the office type things where Steve Carell hangs up the authorization letter from AR. From HR that they get a waiver, bless it, as a quasi marriage certificate or something like that. You don't have to deal with that sort of thing, but a quarter of weddings are still hooking up through workplaces. I don't know. I don't really know how to process that. I'm so far out of that game, but I find that interesting statistic. Someone actually pinged me asking. Down the bottom, may I know which apps for research purposes? To which I responded, I don't know, but it sounds like all you have an equal shot if you just get a job. I wasn't meaning to imply that person was in need of a job either. I have no idea, but apparently that's and someone saying that the coworkers can get in trouble for asking a coworker out on a date. This is my whole point. Not in Japan, but again, it's like all things. Just don't be an asshole about it, right? Be discreet, read the room. But yeah, it seems to be how things still happen here. So I've always felt that was interesting. Moving on. So many comments on the side here. Well, we've got Atomic Tom. Good to see Atomic Tom. Long time no see. Good to see you there in the chat. This is very current time. That's right. Are taxis in Japan as expensive as they are here in Germany? I don't know how expensive they are in Germany. Maybe someone who's been in both recently can say. But yes, indeed. Black Tengu, so sad that Welsh Rugby Union never revived its golden era. Yeah. There's a New Zealand there was a New Zealand rugby journalist who wrote a very unkind article on that theme a few years ago, talking about how Welsh live off their experiences when Llanelli beat the All Blacks when the All Blacks were touring Wales in the 1960s. And, they talk about the great moments of Welsh rugby, and they're all in the 1950s and 1960s. And they talked about how, I wish Wales, instead of living in the glory of the past, would focus on just improving their damn rugby in the present so that we could have a decent game with them. Do they not realize that they are the village idiots of world rugby? Which actually the journalist in question got a telling off from the New Zealand rugby coach, specifically for that comment. But yeah, I seriously, we do want Wales to be better. I mean, they turn out good teams. But yeah. Oh, is the Formula One on? I heard that the Las Vegas Formula, apart from being an organizational shit show, was actually a pretty good race. I haven't followed Formula One since the early 1990s, back in the Mansell, Prost, Senna sort of era, which is the only era that I really followed. I consider, but they still make movies and talk about that era a lot, so I consider it, of course, to be one of the best. But there you go. More comments in here. We've got watching Formula One. Yes, indeed. Dan H, do I have any hotel recommendations in Tokyo or Osaka? You're thinking about staying at Hotel New Otani or Marriott? It's funny. Because I've got a ton of coworkers coming into Tokyo this week, and they are staying in the Westin. I think some are staying in the Marriott and the Westin, which is mainly based on nice hotel and location and budget. I don't know. It really depends entirely on your budget. I mean, if you've got if money's no object, the new Shangri-La hotel, some of the new big Westin, they're proper 5-6 star hotels now in Tokyo. And I know I've done work functions at those when they were brand new. New Otani, I don't know how that's doing at the moment. I assume it's a bit dated, I guess, but it's probably been I assume it's been overhauled. A lot of the Palace Hotel is going through a huge renovation, or the Imperial Hotel is going through a renovation. The Palace Hotel was knocked down and rebuilt, and I think it's being built more to competitive standards. So but here's the thing, I live here. I never stay at these places, so I don't know. The last hotel I stayed at was a business hotel that was a converted love hotel. And so as a result, it had an enormous bed and TV, and it was awesome. But that's like an 8,000 yen a night place. In terms of good hotels, the places we end up recommending, for my work purposes, which is more closer to Shinagawa, sort of Osaki area, are the Westin and the Marriott. I don't know if they're particularly good, but I do know that the standards of hotels have dramatically improved in Tokyo. So yeah, maybe again, people in the chat have some suggestions. In fact, actually, there we go. Aaron is actually an expert. I just realized that as I saw the comment from Aaron. Aaron's good to get advice on this sort of stuff, actually, on travel arrangements in Tokyo. So take that. Osaka, I don't know as well. I've never stayed in a hotel. I have stayed in a hotel in Osaka, but it was a business hotel near work, so it was nothing. I couldn't even remember the name of it. So yeah, I'm afraid, again, people in the comments, please help out Dan H with suggestions if you've got any. I'm wearing pants routine done in China. People enjoyed it. That was good news. A kind of a racist post saying, "Oh, look at the scum we're letting into this country." But you know what? This is kind of like this is a video of a Chinese person losing his shit, spitting on the screen and getting angry and kicking and screaming after being rejected for permanent residence, which just tells me, yeah, it looks like they made the right call. He's also screaming, racist statements at the at the Americans in the room, saying Americans get favoritism from Japanese, and yeah, just being kind of a bad person. So to me, this is the system working, but also a good note for everybody. I've seen this at immigration or anything at airports or dealing with police or any kind of bureaucratic interaction in Japan. If you act like this, if you act like a bad person, and I've got the audio off, but this person was sort of screaming at them and stuff and screaming abuse at them. Um, Japanese are like boring and by the book, and they'll help you out. And if you show a little bit of sympathy to them, they'll actually help you back a lot. But if you work against them, if you do anything to ruin their day, you're done. And you know, and they won't engage with you. And I'm pretty sure this guy's probably going to have a mark on his file. He's probably not going to get PR after this performance. So yeah, it's the thing about Japan. It's got this weird thing. If you're the sort of person who likes to like bully waiters or bully service providers and stuff like that, and you go into like, you know, immigration and you're tapping on the desk and giving them shit, they won't they won't mirror it back to you, but they're gonna deal it back to you 4 times worse than you're dealing it out. And in the end of the day, if you're going there for something that you need, they'll make your life very difficult. And it's a common thread of people who get into trouble in immigration, people I see having trouble in immigration, as people who are acting rudely towards the people in immigration. Japanese just aikido that stuff. They just you know, and the people go flipping. You go, oh geez, you know, I'm sorry for all the trouble, really appreciate this. You know, and they'll go on the extra mile for you. You just have to sort of be nice. I mean, again, I'm saying this based on my own experience. I am not that person, but that person, yeah, definitely, to me, him not getting let in is the system working. There you go. What else have we got here? Ugh, refreshing comments. Believe in yourself, indeed. Oh, good to have the other pair. Oh, some nice tips there actually from Aaron. You got the Palace, which has recently been redone, the Imperial, the Ascot Marunouchi, indeed. We've also got the Marunouchi Hotel Watch. Oh, yeah, that's a good business one. That's in the Owazo building. Yeah, that's actually pretty good. There you go. These are some good tips there. But all your people want to be close to the Imperial Palace. Ah, of course, I remember that. So yeah, partly depends, I guess, yeah, Dan H, it depends partly on where you want to be close to. But these all seem to be good tips. Anyway, 10 minutes to go. Power round. Let's keep going through. I had to laugh at this. As a tech lawyer, I had to laugh at this. That tech bros, they just wiped out $80 billion in shareholder value. This is terrible news. That's good for no one. The lawyers. The lawyers are eating popcorn. I can tell you that firsthand. Yeah, the fact that after that SpaceX launch, that the pad held up like that, like I thought this water deluge system looked like, is that really going to work? But it really did work. So that was incredible. 70% of young adults surveyed in Japan have phone phobia. Just people not used to using the phone. I think I mentioned that in recent weeks as well. But there you go. There is the front end of Starship. After the rest of the Starship blew up, just the front end just kept flying. Literally, the front fell off. So that was funny. The liftoff, here we go. I mean, this is a skyscraper, like a full-on as big as and weighs as much as a tall skyscraper building. To me, I had a moment when I was watching this live, when it cleared the pad. Like, it's hard to process that this is like real life. So again, for all my opinions about Musk, that is like freaking cool. And the fact that you could see all the engines burning and not causing each other to explode or catch fire and stuff. I mean, that's just, that is like so cool. So yeah, I'm here for that stuff. Ian McCauley, good to see you there in the comments. And thanks for that. More recommendations for people looking, I believe, in, this is all Ultimachi type stuff. So yes, indeed. But what else has been going on? Here's me. Here's actually the setup I'm looking at right now. If you ever wanted to know my view, I've got 2 keyboards. I brought a keyboard back from work because I got a new custom keyboard in at work. So yeah, 3 screens. This is me watching the launch last night. It was crazy. Wow, this is last night. Okay, I'm so far behind. Gaiji Mummy is awesome. She takes these awesome time. I love time lapses. She takes them of Tokyo Skytree. She's making me like Tokyo Skytree. What goddamn evil genius invented this? So okay, ever since I passed a couple of kidney stones in America, like among foods you have to sort of avoid, or that you're suggested to avoid if you're a kidney stones person, which I never want to have them ever again. So I've had no problems with this ever since, but I really don't want to go through a repeat. So I am being extra careful. Oysters and shellfish are among the things that you're like not really supposed to eat, if they contribute to those sorts of problems. So although kaki fry I would have 3 or 4 times a week, like last year, like the deep fried oysters, I haven't had them yet this year, even though I love them. And you know what? I'm drinking like 3 or 4 liters of water a day, so I'm actually probably safe at having a few. But like I said, I'm just being extra careful and healthy. I'm trying to avoid anything that could cause a problem like that again. But that said, kaki fry like lunch is basically like rice with fried oysters and tartar sauce, and just have it all together, and it's just like the best thing in the world. Someone at Lawson, convenience store chain, figured out that just get a fried oyster and put it into an onigiri with it looks like there's tartar sauce in it. This is genius. Like, I'm tempted. I mean, I know that the deep fried oysters will be better fresh from the supermarket, but like I'm here for this. I'm actually tempted to go and break my so far 6 month long deep fried oyster fast to try those. To me, that looks awesome. So yes, indeed. Boom. A lot of people talking about, I think this is a more common thing. You're right. People like texting and so on. Yeah. So you only use the phone 2 or 3 times a year. I'm definitely the type of person where at work, where I get a weird email or a text, I don't know what the hell they're talking about. I just want to talk to them, because you can have all the back and forth. I hate texting, waiting for backs and forths when, I just want to ask them 10 quick questions to clarify something. So personally, I mean, my job is advising and giving legal advice and stuff. So yeah, I want to talk to them. I want to get the story. I want to hold their shoulders and shake them and say, pull yourself together, like on the movie Airplane. So, which is probably why people have phone phobia, because I might do that. But yeah, people not liking the phone. What can you do? Cool animation stuff. This headline is genius. Microsoft OpenAI Control Alt and Delete. I do like that. Oh yeah. Daisaku Ikeda, well, not the founder, but the longtime leader of the Sokogakai group. People, it's kind of funny. They have online social media monitoring and stuff. So, you'll get like, they're not quite as aggressive as the Scientologists, but they are up there. They're evangelical and they are aggressive, and they're involved in business and politics. And they're 1 in 10 Japanese are in Sokogakai. It's a form of Nichiren Buddhism, but it's very focused as well around the sort of, words of the leader of it. But it does things sometimes. They can get a little bit out of hand, the way that they control people and families and stuff like that. That resonates with the way that, for example, groups like the Unification Church and the Jehovah's Witnesses and so on act. And some people use the C word, and I think of it as the C word. So, it's one of those things where I know people whose families and people who are involved. But there is a thing as well. I know people who have had to run for the hills after trying to be like dragged into this group, or being like tricked into having these groups where they're trying to recruit people. So I'm not a big fan of and they're not supposed to be involved in politics, but they have a political party, which is flagrantly constitutional, and it was set up by the guy who founded this. That said, again, like all good religious groups, they have their celebrity endorsers. Not Tom Cruise. They've got budget Tom Cruise. They got Orlando Bloom. Apparently, like since he was 16 years old, he's been a member and is like reading this frankly what I consider to be a Japanese cult leader's proclaimers to Zelensky, who's like, oh yeah, I'll get right down to doing all of that crazy Tom Cruise stuff. So I don't know. I mean, again, they do this. They make a big deal about their international membership. And hell, I do actually know a lot of good people who are in the religion, and I'm fine so long as you're like not acting like an a-hole, which I've seen also happen. But so long as you're not actually like believe in whatever you want to believe, but I'm fine with religion as well. I even think it's good. But when you're actually like deceiving people and and psychologically trying to trap people and pull people in, like that's that kind of stuff which they've been known to do, I don't like. So they're an evangelical Buddhist group is one way to put it as well. So I'm not a fan, but the leader who's been like disappeared since 2010, I probably made a couple too many inappropriate Weekend at Bernie's joke references. I mean, it's like this guy's disappeared for 15 years and everyone's being like, okay, so who's running the group? But they announced that he officially passed away the other day. On my birthday. It was my birthday on Thursday, on the 15th? Wednesday, the 15th. So I turned 48. So that's the thing. I'm feeling fine. But yeah, sort of, I must admit, I've always thought of myself as mid-40s, which I think I still count as, but I'm, things are progressing. I am actually in many ways the healthiest I've ever been, so I'm feeling quite fine about myself. But yes, it was on the same day that happened, so that's the thing that happened. What else have we got here? I'm going to race through. Got 5 more minutes because I started at 33 past. Here is a red panda getting its tail cleaned. I mean, some people talking about Bro must have saved a lot of orphans in a previous life to land that job. Indeed, definitely agree with that. Adam ruins everything. You have to drink 2 liters. A huge BS campaign. Thanks for that, Chris. I like Adam ruins everything. I missed that particular one. I was told that specifically by the kidney doctor guy. And like if you have like a kidney thing, flushing regularly is, and I've had follow-up advice on that. So I'm not. It's not a TikTok trend. It's an actual. I've had multiple doctors in 2 countries say that. But there you go. Oh, look at that. More red panda. This is what we all need more of in our lives. Entertaining video of a chess master describing a match with ChatGPT. What else have we got here? Racing through more speculation. All the people speculating and taking bets on why Sam Altman was fired. with categories both for sexual misconduct, intern and non-intern. I don't know why those end up as different categories or how this even comes out. But yeah, the internet's been busy. I guess everybody's going to ChatGPT asking for theories, so that's why there are so many. Believe in yourself. Thank you. What else have we got here? We've got GABA controversy being summarized pretty well by Unseen Japan. They did a big thing on that. When you think the moon is bigger than space. Oh, Gaiju Mummy, an international treasure who must be protected at all costs. So she just makes these things. And like I say, she is an institution. Which Japanese learner are you? This reminded me very much, by the way, of a classic, like I think 2002 or 2003 blog, like So You Want to Learn Japanese, which if you've been around for a long time, or if you had a birthday similar to mine, you might know about, but the echoes of that. But she's done a really good updated version of this, which I can fortunately zone in on. You know what? I think I'm just going to make it as far as this one this week. What did I put in the title for this? Japanese rugby. I can't even see the title to the show the way I've got all this sorted out. Hang on a sec. AI drama, Hilton versus Ryokan. Oh, I didn't talk about that. Japanese learners. Okay, this is Japanese learners, so I've got to talk about Hilton versus Ryokan. I'm gonna talk about that very fast. Whoops. Because Hilton took down an ad. They made an ad where they were making fun of how in Japanese like traditional inns and ryokan, how you've got to like wake up and clear up your room in order for them to bring food in on a certain schedule. So they're going around the whole place, and they have and the food and everything is all predetermined before you get there. So the idea of Japanese service, this is, as you probably know, is that good service is not that you have the right to customize it, to be your leisure and your vacation. They're doing service for you. It's that you're going there to experience the service that they provide. So you're not supposed to ask anything, because are you the expert on running a hotel, or are they? No, they are. So you let them be experts at running the hotel, and you enjoy the experience. So the difference between kind of the idea of Western or particularly American, but sort of quality service and hospitality is more around customization and flexibility, whereas in Japan, it's the same with restaurants. You don't go in to like a sushi master and demand that they change how they do things for your likings. And it's the same with Ryokan. So the menus are all prefixed. You have to determine way in advance if you want to change anything, and they don't like it. And if you're not awake in your room for them to bring the sets in between 8 and 9, you miss out. You have to be back by 6 p.m. in order to have the dinner and clean up quickly and eat at the right speed. And I was exaggerating to say it feels like at times like you're working for the ryokan, but certainly, you don't have any sort of flexibility. You can't sleep in. You can't have necessarily the food that you want. You just go through the experience that they provide you. But that is part of the charm of traveling in Japan. So Hilton, Conrad Hotels, they did a ad campaign where they said, if you stay with us, you can customize all the food you want. You can sleep in. You can do things at your pace rather than be driven around in a ryokan, which a lot of people interpreted as punching down and bullying like small mom and pop sort of ryokan places, and they took the hint and took the ad down. Although I don't think what they said was actually wrong. It's a thing as well. It's okay going to a ryokan if you know that that's the experience, and it's actually great if you know and accept that that's the experience, and it is genuine. Like you should have that experience in Japan, but you should also know what you're getting into. having someone go into that experience but expecting it to be the Conrad Hotel is going to get, is going to have trouble. Although maybe that's a humbling experience that people need, but it is a point that I think is legitimate for the Conrad to advertise. But yeah, a lot of people didn't like that they sort of were poo-pooing Japanese Ryokan. So there you go. So anyway, which type of Japanese learner are you? Let's go through this super quickly. Yes, the enjoys though the mysteries of linguistic incompetence. So basically, okay, so Pico Iyo, I don't understand that, but it basically means someone who just has his wife look after him while doesn't really learn anything. The newbie starts Watashi wa, even when ordering McDonald's, be kind, we're all that person wants. Charisma man who learned from his girlfriend and speaks like a girl. Charisma woman, the hostess who speaks like a gangster. Yeah, I've met a few of those. Coaster, I feel closest to Coaster. Coaster who plateaued between N2 and N1 and uses Nanka like, yeah, there's that thing as a placeholder while they're trying to find the right word all the time. Goddamn Olympian, the sort of person who's trying to seize up how good you are at Japanese and gets annoyed when is always comparing Japanese levels of other foreigners and gets annoyed when they're given English menus. I've been through an Olympian phase, but I definitely ended up a Coaster. Dr. Manyoshu got N1 back when it was called EQ. Oh god, that was me. And still reads Heian scrolls for fun. Never done that, but her students are afraid to tell her that talking to her is a bit like having a conversation with the Kojiki, so someone who's overly academic. I like to suate. You have these people who like to have fun mixing up Japanese and they think they're being really clever. You get a lot of people from international schools who talk like that. Imposter. In one certificate, but is secretly convinced that her Japanese still sucks. Or him, that definitely exists. In fact, and there's a lot of people actually like that who just study and get N1. Anime avatar, self-assessed N1 and anime, N7, bottom level of Japanese and everything else. I do like that. Expat Bubble Bro, speaking Japanese perfectly will hurt your chances of breaking it as a leader. There was someone who posted this on Twitter the other day who said, if you learn Japanese, they'll hate you for it, and you won't earn as much money. Someone actually posted this on Twitter the other day, so I think that might have this one may have actually inspired this whole thing. Seriously, Gaijin Mummy is a genius. Just putting this together. Weeb Whacker, professional translator, cursed with the thankless task of having to remind N7s that if a dialogue doesn't sound awkward or exotic. So yeah, genius, love it. And she did this, and I reminded her after. She got 1 million posts, but I had to share mine. I'm going to make this the final thing that I share since we're over time. You may or may not have ever heard of this. You can just Google this. So you want to learn Japanese. I always look for this and monkey apple carburetor. If you look for that phrase, it's reasons why you should not learn Japanese. It's a joke. It's a joke thread, and it's from 2002. So there's references to if you do this, Japanese will beat you up with their tiny cellular phones, which you can tell is a bit of a dated reference now. But a lot of the stuff here, like all the reasons why Japanese grammar is impossible, while everybody who studies it fails. Politeness levels. This is actually true. Politeness levels in action. For example, see the example below. Japanese teacher, good morning, Harry. Harry, good morning. Japanese classmates gasps in horror and shock. I've literally had that at work. I've literally had that where I was being too casual with a with a very formal boss, and had my co-workers say to me, dude, you're being way too... I also like this. The grammatical structure is incomprehensible. English sentence. Jane went to school. Same sentence in Japanese. School. Jane went to monkey apple carburetor. I think that's the best summary of Japanese I have ever seen. It goes on. Anime isn't real, but you can be sure at least half your classmates think it is and will spend most of your class time asking how to say things like crystal tiara in Japanese. Like I say, this is 20 years ago. This is old school Japanese learning, but yeah, that stuff has become more mainstream now. But good times. So I covered all the topics tonight anyway, but Kubri's Tenshi doesn't feel like any of those apply to it. This is like classic internet stuff for me. Thank you for sending me videos on Twitter, and hope that you're all well. Thanks for keeping me company. If you like the show, do remember to like. 18 likes. I love that. Great to see everybody. Thank you for keeping me company. Have a good week. I am going to call up Victor. I've been meaning to call up Victor. I was going to call him tonight, but I got busy. But yeah, let's try to Yeah, we'll try to get another 2.5 Voyages back on. But anyway, take care of yourselves. As always, remember, get all your flu shots. Take care, and I'll see you back here next week. Follow me on all the social media things. Check me out on Blue Sky if you're on Blue Sky. And I'll see you all later. Thanks for keeping me company. Boom. Peace. Ending show. End stream. There it is. See you later. Have a good week, everyone. Boom. Remember to like if you liked.